Welcome back to Wellness Wave Radio. Thanks for tuning in this morning to ride the wave with us. Each week our goal is to give you at least one suggestion that will make your life a little better. My name is Phil George. I'm a clinical biochemist, certified personal trainer, and a health coach. Please remember, everything we discuss on the show is for informational purposes only and should not be taken as medical advice. Always seek the guidance of your medical professional. And we have a medical professional with us right here. We have Amy Ma. And Amy, can you please introduce yourself to the listeners?
Yes,
to the viewers.
Phil. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm Amy Ma. I'm an occupational therapist and a board-certified wellness coach. And I work with seasoned professionals who are interested in protecting their cognition and protecting their sense of self and independence for whatever age they want to be.
And that's a big one. It's interesting, Amy, because they did a study, and what they found out, the thing that most people are afraid of as they ages was not cancer, Alzheimer's. It was basically losing their cognition.
Absolutely.
Because you think about it, that's the only difference between us and anything else if
Absolutely.
we can't think. And I think the other thing, a lot of people as they get older, they don't want to be a burden on their families.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They're gonna, I don't want my kids changing my diapers. I don't want this. I don't want that. And then you lose, and it's so sad. I have a friend at the gym, in fact, and his parents are up in New Hampshire, where you're from.
Yeah.
And he's in Worcester, and he was driving back and forth. I saw him the other day. His mom just passed.
Oh.
Okay, but he said the best thing that ever happened, because she was in so much pain. She was in so much of this and that. And I like to tell people sometimes, and sometimes people die after a long illness or cognition or whatever.
Yeah.
I say sometimes dying's not the worst thing. Sometimes living's the worst thing. You know what I mean? So sometimes death is a release in a way. But this poor guy, Amy, he was at the gym all the time. He's lifting weights. I saw him he just came back, skin and bones.
Oh man.
The toll it takes on the kids.
It does.
Right. They call it the sandwich generation now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a big toll on just caregivers. Caregiver burden falls on partners and kids a lot. And it's subtle because you're so focused on caring for your loved one, doing right by them, that you're not noticing that your own health is whittling. And oftentimes it unfortunately takes, maybe the passing or maybe releasing of responsibility in some way. And then your own body just sort of says, okay, I might decompensate a little bit now. And then unfortunately some things start to happen in your own life, and that's a wake-up call then. It's unfortunate because we want to be both strong for our loved one and strong for ourselves, and it takes a little bit of intention to do both.
But again, the whole thing is stress the silent killer.
Yes.
So the whole thing, and I know you know this, but the cortisol, the stress hormone, if you're in that constant, there's the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. So the parasympathetic is the rest and recovery. Sympathetic is the fight or flight.
Yes.
And we're not meant to be in that constant stress, because what happens is, in terms of the stress, you shut down your immune system, you shut everything down.
Everything.
And this poor guy, he was like a different person.
Absolutely.
He was skin and bones because he was constantly stressed. Am I doing the right thing for my parents? So I haven't asked you this before. I was just thinking. The other thing I'm thinking, if I'm the caregiver for and I got my kids to take care of too. I mean, you work with the caregivers and also with the person with the coming down with dementia, so you can kind of navigate between the two of them.
Mostly, I am there for caregiver support because I do my work virtually as a coach, and I don't always find that the virtual setting is the best for the person with dementia themselves. But I am there to support the caregiver because they're there with them and they're in their environment and they can kind of see what's happening in real time. And so I'm there because, as you said, the caregivers and the kids, they need support as well. They have to care for themselves. They can't show up skin and bones and have the aftermath of that. So I'm there for them in both ways. It's a unit. It's a partnership.
It would be kind of like, again, if you have kids, you need a pediatrician to kind of guide you through certain things.
Yeah.
So with you is like you're kind of the pediatrician, for the caregiver, because you're going to know, well, they'll do this and do that, and maybe and have them, because you're a certified, health coach too.
Yes.
I hope you agree with me on this, Amy. So what I find is basically because my in-laws used to live for a long time, and what happened? But they were big. They loved sugar. And you wanted to talk a little bit about that, in fact, in terms of they call it now Alzheimer's, type 3 diabetes.
Type 2, yeah.
Want to get into a little bit of the biochemistry of that?
Sure. And you being the biochemist could probably speak deeper into this. But the idea is that metabolically, I mean, we're finding there's a lot of research that just as it's subtle, but with the sugar and increasing cortisol, like you said, it's increasing inflammation. As you said before, our bodies aren't meant for chronic inflammation. The inflammation is good for healing of an injury, or something where the blood is rushing and we're fixing the problem. Then the inflammation dies down, as it should. Or acute stress, dealing with something really quickly, and then the stress goes away, and then the inflammation goes down. But when we're constantly stressed and having elevated glucose, having elevated sugar in our diet and in our system is causing a lot of insulin resistance and increasing internal inflammation and chronic cortisol levels, high stress. And we're sort of just, I think we talked about, like, you're cooking yourself from the inside.
Yeah.
After so many years. Our body is not meant to withhold that, withstand that. And so when you tax the body for so long and accidentally don't allow it to rest and recover and restore, you're asking a lot of one system. You only have one system for the rest of your life. And at some point, it starts to not be able to restore your mind. And then you can't clean the toxins from day to day. Things build up. And when things build up, there's not a lot of space for the healthy brain cells. And so then you get these syndromes like dementia sometimes from these long-standing metabolic issues.
Right. The other thing that I found was interesting, because I know most people have heard about the amyloid plaque and the tau tangles.
Yeah.
And they spent billions of dollars, drug companies, to try to fix this, because they thought that the problem was the amyloid plaque and the tau tangles.
Yeah.
And they did all these studies, and they had to stop. In fact, our friend Kelly Hamilton, the ICU nurse,
Yes.
people come in with brain bleeds
Yes.
because they were, what happens. The example I'd like to use is this, Amy. Okay, so what happens? Let's say you have a cut, right? Really bad cut.
Really bad cut.
And you form a little scab there, right? And let's say it's brand new. And what happens if you rip that scab off, Amy?
Oh, it's just going to keep bleeding.
Bleeding like crazy,
Yeah.
because the scab protects it.
Yes.
That's what the amyloid plaque and the tau tangles do. They protect it, because what happens, it's damage. It's damage to the neurons. So they want to protect more damage, so they put the amyloid, like a scab over it. So the whole point is what you want to do is you want to kind of try to clean it up and stop it. We talked before about the glucose and the whole thing about the type 3 diabetes. So what I did with my in-laws, there's something called MCT, which stands for medium chain triglyceride. It comes in a bottle. And I had the aides start putting it in their salads and stuff like that, because ketones, your brain can use ketones, but it's a very clean fuel. You know what I mean? It's very clean. You don't have to worry about it. So we replaced a lot of the sugar with other things. Other thing a lot of people don't know is there's something called glycine, and glycine is an amino acid, but it's very, very sweet, and it tastes like sugar. So you can replace all these things. But again, the average person is not going to know that.
Right.
That's why they need to go with somebody like you that basically understands this stuff. We're going to maybe switch this out. The other thing I do with my in-laws, you can steal this one.
Yeah.
You're too young for this, but there was a show called All in the Family with Archie Bunker and Edith, and he was the typical redneck kind of guy. And Edith, get me this. He would just sit in there and munch potato chips all the time. So my in-laws, they're Lebanese, and what happens is they're kind of, the woman takes care of the man, the old school stuff. And my father would say, "Ann, get me this, Ann, get me that." And I said, "Mom," I said, "you're killing him with kindness." Because what he did, Amy, he would sit in that damn chair and he would never get up.
Munch and munch.
And munch, and like this. But I had a giant sign under the TV, and I said, "Dad, get up every commercial and just walk around once."
Yes, absolutely. I love that you say that, because one, I want to get back to earlier, you were given all these examples. Those are such great examples of small but mighty tweaks, the glycine and the getting up and moving with every commercial. Not only breaks up the day, it's easy. It's something you can do. You're pairing it with a habit that you're already doing, which is watching TV and watching a commercial. And because he's eating, he's moving right after eating, which is consuming the glucose, the sugar that would be just floating in the blood, and putting it into the muscles and using it the way nature intended for us to use our nutrition and use our diet.
That's actually good for everybody, not just older people.
Oh, everybody.
What happens is, as you know, the muscles are a huge sugar hog, huge sugar hog. And the largest muscles in the body are the glutes and the quads. So by you walking, it's sucking it in.
Absolutely.
So if you're having weight issues, have things like that, and even if you TiVo or record it, force yourself. There's a really good book, Atomic Habits by James Clear. He talks about that.
Yes.
Get into these habits. My wife and I, they joke with me because every commercial, I'm up. I'm doing something. Even putting dishes away, I'm doing something, but it's automatic. So the trigger, and what is it, like 28 days to develop a new habit, something like that?
So, well, that's a little bit nuanced because it's a little different. But yes, like when you get into a rhythm, it becomes easier and easier because your brain's laying down pathways. So regardless of how long it takes you as the individual to lay down the habit, know that every time you try, your brain's laying down pathways. Rome wasn't built in a day. So you got to lay down the new pathways, and then it becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. So in 28 days, it becomes much easier to more or less fall into it than day 2. And in 6 months, more or less, easier. It becomes you. It becomes something, this is what I do. This is what Phil does. There's a commercial. Phil's wife knows he's going to get up and he's going to move. This is just part of him.
And James talked about a trigger. I don't know what's a trigger.
Yes.
So what I do sometimes, I'll do certain things. I'll put something here that remind. Oh, I got to do this. So I get my routine. Because when you wake up in the morning, Amy, you're like,
yeah, exactly.
So I don't have to think. It's automatic. I do this. I do this. I do this. And the night before, I'll set stuff up so it'll set me in the whole thing. So I normally go to the gym every morning. So what I do, I get up first thing in the morning. I go over there. I'll get my headphones. I'll put them over there. I'll put my gym bag over there, so I don't forget anything.
Yes.
So that's it, and I'll go to that same thing. So whatever you need to do to trigger it, there's in neurology. There's something called Hebb's law. Neurons that fire together wire together.
Yeah.
So it happens. It's just like, do you play any sports?
I did Taekwondo for a long time. I did martial arts for many years.
Oh, bingo! There you go.
Yeah.
What do they call it? Katsa? What do they call it? There's a thing.
The patterns? Yes, we call them patterns.
Yeah, so what happens is, but you have to do this over and over again.
Oh, yes.
But then it becomes automatic.
Oh, yes.
Actually, I actually had a brown belt at one time.
Oh, yeah, you know.
Yeah,
you know.
So, and what happened is you have to go through all of these different motions.
Yes.
And it may take you months to actually get it down. But once you get it down, it's like anything else. Or performing a dance, right?
Yes.
If you know how to dance.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing, and what happens, it becomes a lot easier. And I used to teach tennis. So what happens is once you got that motion down, the other thing, when I used to teach tennis, it was much easier to teach somebody brand new than somebody that had bad habits.
You got to rewire those habits.
You have to change it around.
It is hard.
So again, these little habits, Amy's saying, makes a huge difference and you can give them these little changes.
Yes, little changes. And to what you were saying with the getting up and moving after eating a meal, munching, because people have, they have joint issues, they have pain. There's a lot of reasons why people are limited or they feel limited. Calf raises. If you're eating a meal and then after you're done, you do 20 calf raises, you're flexing those calves, you're moving those quads, and people might think, well, how is that, that can't be the same as doing a lap. Well, every little bit of muscle contraction is using that glucose. You could be sitting there, you could be reaching for something 20 times intentionally, like an exercise. You're using the muscles of your arms. If you can't do a lap for whatever reason, stand up, sit back down. And any little small but mighty tweak that you can fit in is going to benefit you. And that is going to consistently make a difference.
It was interesting because one of the things I do with my clients, as and I think this is good for anybody. I like to call them exercise snacks.
Yes.
Throughout the day.
I love them.
What happens is this, and I looked into this, and actually you're better off with exercise snacks than going to a gym for an hour.
Yes.
Because what happens is something called anabolic resistance, like anabolic steroids. You're building muscles, and what happens is you go to the gym. It'll last for a few hours. You'll have an after effect. But if you're doing this exercise snacks throughout the day, what happens is, I looked up to this. It lasts 2.5 hours after you do that exercise snack. So you're in an anabolic state. So think about that. So again, a lot of people they don't want to go to the gym. So I'm going to just show the listeners exercise snacks that I told my clients.
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Do it.
So what happens is it's very simple. Everybody has a little table.
Yep.
Just air squats.
Here, I'll do it with you.
Okay, air squats. Go down 10, 20, whatever you want.
Yeah.
Now everybody has a counter. So Amy,
Yep.
up against the counter.
Yep.
Get your feet, the further back you can go, the
Okay.
harder it is.
Okay. Okay.
We can go over here and we're going to do some push-ups.
Yep.
And if it's too hard, you get your feet closer.
Yeah.
And see what happened is that if you can do that, basically, that takes a minute or two.
Yeah.
What happened is the Fair Lawn Rehab place that I worked with for a bit of time, and the guy there was clearly obese. And what happened is, he says, I don't have time to exercise. I go home, I got the kids, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I said, I showed him, I said, can you do that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Put your clock on, exercise snack time.
Yep.
Anybody can do this. And again, just doing air squats. And if you want to get a bag of flour.
Yeah. Yeah.
And do it.
Gallon of milk or
Whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
But that's what Amy's saying is that's actually, let me see if we're close enough. Yeah, okay, you can see us.
There you go.
Okay, so guys, that's good for anybody. So if you're looking to lose weight, I was shocked when I found out it was 2.5 hours.
Yes.
It lasted. You were in an anabolic state, building state for 2.5 hours afterwards. It just totally shocked me. So you're getting the upper body workout and you're getting the lower body workout. The other thing I found out, Amy, is that they found out that the number one indicator of healthy aging is leg strength.
for many reasons, yes.
So important.
Yes.
And you deal with this all the occupational therapy, the whole thing
Yeah.
with people falling down. Talk about how dangerous that is.
Oh my goodness. So and it is a lot of strength. So strength, we lose the strength, we lose the flexibility, we lose the reaction timing, and if we fall, the older you get, it's not just the fall. People think, oh, how is that going to reduce my lifespan? It's all the after effects of the fall. So it's the pain, you're sedentary for several days. When you do get up afterwards, you're not moving as well because it hurts. Or maybe you have restrictions because the bone is broken and you're not allowed to put weight on it. So it really changes how you're moving and how you interact with movement in the rest of the world for several months afterwards. And then in the early stages, it can put you at risk for pneumonia, which puts you at risk even just being sedentary, some cognitive changes depending on where you're at in your health. And so it's the aftermath of the fall and the break that actually is really detrimental to people. And not everybody realizes that. It's not the bone itself, that's a part of it. It's everything surrounding your life afterwards.
I read somewhere, I forget the number, but after a fall and you break your hip after a certain age, the people die within a year or so of that. It's a scary number.
It's a scary statistic. It really is. Yes.
So you don't want to be falling down. So what Amy's talking about is by you doing these like exercise snacks and things like that, you're building up. But you get a second benefit, Amy, and that's building up your bone strength.
Bone strength. Yeah.
And as you know, and especially for women, I tell younger women this all the time. You only have a certain time period until you reach perimenopause and menopause, because as you know, estrogen is very bone protective.
It is bone and heart. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the reason women live longer because there's a joke there. I'm not going to say it. I'm going to get into trouble. So anyway. So you're building up the bone, and the same thing because women will lose a lot of bone mass, osteopenia, osteoporosis. So by doing these, going to the gym. I mean, ideally, you want to do the exercise snacks and go to the gym.
Yes.
But but again, if you only could pick one, it's these exercise snacks that you can do.
Absolutely.
And the other thing you mentioned, Amy, and if you're dealing with the caregiver, you can say, well, have them get up. You can do that. I mean, if you did it anywhere in the world on a Zoom thing, you could say, do this. It's simple thing to do.
It's quick. It's simple. It's free. You can find anything, and it's something. So there's this term. It's called active couch potato, and that's when it's someone they think they're being healthy. They exercise for an hour, 2 hours, and then they sit the rest of the day. That's not as. It's better than not exercising, but it's not as helpful as they think. So the exercise snacks, wonderful for breaking up that activity. Like you said, the secondary benefit of healthy stress on the bones. The bones need that healthy stress. They need, all of us actually need healthy stress in many ways than one. It builds resilience, it builds density and strength, figuratively and literally. And the third benefit, when you flex your muscles, you're increasing this protein in your brain, BDNF, you know,
Yep.
brain-derived neurotrophic factor. It's like miracle grow for your brain.
Right.
It's like, for example, babies and toddlers are chock full of it. And that's how they learn. They're like little sponges. That's why you got to be careful what you say, because a year later they repeat you and you're like, where did you get that from? So we lose that as we age, but we can build more when we exercise. So that's a third benefit that not everybody knows, is when you exercise, you are directly impacting your gut health and your brain at the same time. And not to go on a tangent, but your gut is kind of your second brain as well. So you're affecting both. There's so many benefits to these little exercise snacks that just are wonderful ripple effects if you do them consistently.
And what you're saying too, these little changes, I don't know if we've ever talked about this. There's there's a neonatal, which means a pediatrician. She does with newborn babies. And her husband was an accountant, and her name was Mary Newport. Have you heard of Mary Newport?
I haven't, no.
Okay,
No.
so I got to send you the YouTube video.
Yeah.
So Mary Newport, her husband was starting to come down with it. He was an accountant, and things were going south, and she was also into research. So she looked up, and there was this new research study they wanted to take. It's called the double-blind placebo, which means some people have it, some people, they don't know who's who, but they want to see if it's what they call a placebo effect, which just means that, you know, you just think it. So she, in order to get into the study, you had to take something called a MOCA test, which is they have to look at a clock and stuff like that. He was so bad that they didn't take him into the study. They had to be at a certain level, not too much, you know, brain damage. And what happened? But she was smart, so she looked at what they were putting in the stuff, and she found out it was mostly coconut oil.
Okay.
MCT.
MCT.
But specifically, we talked before, you know, of MCT8, a very specific type of MCT oil. And so she says, what the heck? So she got a bunch of coconut oil, and she was giving him coconut oil like crazy. His cognition improved. She put him back in the study, because he passed, went through the whole thing, and he messed up the study. Because he was in the placebo group. He wasn't taking the drug. But because she kept on giving it to him, he got better, and eventually he died, but he died of like a car accident. He didn't die of that.
He was more himself. So unrelated.
Just by that one change, just by doing that MCT oil, and that's what I gave to my in-laws, and we had 24/7 around the clock, and they said to me, they wanted it for themselves, you know what I mean? So I said to get this, and this. So, because what happens, a little bit of biochemistry, or the neurochemistry, is what happens is sugars are very dirty fuel, like you said. It causes what's called glycation, which means it clunks up your brain. But the MCT, the MCT oil, the ketones are very clean burning. So it goes through. So just that one change, the change of the diet, because the changes. So, you know, if you're dealing with Amy, you're going to get the diet part, you're going to get the exercise part, and you probably even have them doing a little bit maybe of like brain stuff, right?
Yeah, and like stress relief, stress like we talked about at the very beginning is so detrimental to our mental health, our cognition. They go hand in hand. Sleep is so important. Stress is impacting sleep, which is then impacting your diet, which is impacting your exercise. It's all, it's easy because it can feel complicated. Health can feel complicated. The body can feel complicated. It's easy to pick and choose and compartmentalize, but it truly affects all systems. Anything you do affects all systems. So what I do with my clients is we work together and we find what fits their lifestyle, what is approachable for them, something we can get traction on, because for so long they've not been able to get traction. We find something that has grit and traction and something they can really work with that doesn't impede or flip their life upside down, doesn't turn them into something they're not, and really make it sustainable for them so that they can get a good, healthy, comfortable, confident lifestyle that will protect their brain.
It's interesting because I should bring this up. So this coming Sunday, Amy won't be there; she'll be up in New Hampshire. But Kelly, my associate Kelly, we're going to be doing a whole thing 12 noon at the Greendale Y on healthy aging. So we're going to go over this stuff. If you're interested, just send me an email, philgeorge@charter.net. And again, you don't have to be a Y member to do it. But we met with some of the the heads of the Greendale Y, and this woman was maybe in her 40s or 50s. She's one of the directors, and she's I'm definitely coming to that. She says, because She says, it's getting scary. I have trouble sometimes picking up these words. Some things I should know, and people start getting, you realize what's happening is you can't recall what you used to recall.
Absolutely.
It's not at your finger. You have to maybe work a little bit harder.
Yeah.
And again, so the other thing is, it's like anything else. Like I think you said in the beginning, you want to catch these problems, but don't wait until it gets out of hand. If you start getting these symptoms, like if you're diabetic, you want to stop it before you're full blown.
Absolutely.
You're full blown. So it's the same thing with the neurology, right, Amy?
Yeah, and it's like what you said earlier with the plaques. They're covering a problem. They're covering something that's been brewing. It's your brain's response to protect, which means there was something that it's trying to protect from. And that took many, many years in the making, unfortunately, before your brain said, we got to scab it over. We can't do this anymore. So in order to prevent that, we have to work now. Like, that best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. Next best time is now. We got to start now before you start seeing symptoms, because then at that point, your brain's doing all it can, doing what it knows how to do to try to protect you, but it's putting a Band-Aid on a bruise that's already there, a cut that's already there. So we want to prevent the cut to begin with.
The other thing is, the big thing now is this whole anti-aging thing, for everybody. And David Sinclair out of Harvard, he's probably one of the top guys in terms of this, reversing aging and things like that. In fact, there's an interesting thing. There's what they call chronological age, how old you are in years, and then there's the biological age.
Yes.
So that's two different things. Like you could have a 70-year-old that's really 75, or 70-year-olds could actually be 50.
Yeah.
But biologically, it's an entirely different thing, and they're coming out with a lot of new stuff now. And again, this takes about 10 to 20 years before it gets in the mainstream, because they have to do all these studies and everything else.
Right.
But this is Amy's wheelhouse. This is what she does. So she's going to be at the forefront. We talked about this before the show. They just did they were doing autopsies on people's brains, and they're finding out what's missing with the people with the Alzheimer's, people without Alzheimer's, and they found out that it was deficient in lithium. Now most people think about lithium for paranoid for bipolar disorder.
Yeah.
But it has to be a very specific type. It's called magnesium orotate. Like 10 milligrams. I'm taking that on a regular basis now. Other stuff, because this is just out, but they know it works, so why not do it? So all these little things, the MCT oil, the magnesium orotate, the exercise snacks,
Yes.
and all those things that you can do. So anti-aging, in fact, David Sinclair is trying to go to the NIH and he wants to declare aging a disease. I got a trick question. I mean, about the audience. A trick question was, I'm not going to ask you, because what's the number one cause of death? And it's aging.
Fair.
Fair. It's aging.
Yeah.
Because that's cause it leads to everything, because what happens, our body starts breaking down over a period of time, and you don't have to have Alzheimer's or dementia. Amy, if you're just thinking, you're in the 40s or 50s and you're a high performer, this is really is what you kind of keep going. So you want to say, well, how can I do a maximum performance in terms of thinking? So they have a contest, and it's not only your biological age, it's your rate of aging. So in other words, some people, if you're a year old, you're biologically a year old. Some people they only age at half of that biologically, and they have tests now. It's called aging clocks. One of them is called the Horvath clock, and you can do all these tests, and actually you can do it off of blood work, and it can show you how old you are. In fact, I had one of these girls, she's my hygienist, and she sent it all for lab work, and she was like 10 years younger than her than her chronological age. Wonderful. So, and you can track this stuff. So you go in and you say, well, now I'm not aging very well. I'm aging at 1.2 as opposed to 1. I'm going to contact Amy and let's give it 3 months, 6 months, and let's see what happens. So you can actually measure this stuff, like you do with a glucose monitor, or whatever. Yeah, and I imagine it's from lifestyle choices and changes and whatnot. Because I mean, what we're talking about, it's not new age, it's not fancy, it's rather boring actually. It's rather mundane if you think about it. But those are the things that are going to carry us through. Nothing
quick that you do and then kind of give up because it's not sustainable. Those little tiny changes that are so easy, eventually you just work them into your life. That is what's going to sustain us till we're 90, 100, 150, you know?
But again, the whole point is, people joke with me sometimes, Amy, they say, oh, you want to live forever. I said, no, I want to live as healthy as I can.
As healthy as possible.
For us all. I want my health age, not my chronological age.
Exactly.
That goes back to the blue zones.
The blue zones, yes.
You know, they're lifting heavy rocks, they're walking around, and everything else.
They're socializing, community.
Well, that's a whole other, we're going to get into that.
Yeah.
That's a rabbit hole. But we went out, I had a regenerative farmer on my show, and she talked about, raising chickens, raising pigs, and this, and all healthy stuff and everything else. So, and I was always looking for healthy eggs, and I know the healthiest eggs are from local farmers. So I went up there and I bought 4 dozen eggs.
Wow.
And I bought this healthy bacon, not cured the wrong way.
Right,
I bought all the stuff, and we went up and I talked to her. And she's in Barrie, which is about a 45-minute ride from here. So she couldn't come down to the show, so she called in. But it was her family farm for 20, 30 years. It's been there forever. Mm-hmm. And so I said, I'd like to, come out and I'll buy the eggs and I'll do this, and this, and go out there. So I went out there, and it's a relatively cool day, and I went over there, and the people are working and stuff. And I said, I'm here to see Julie. Julie's way out there. So I'm walking this long distance.
Yeah.
And there's Julie. She had to be like 80-something years old. 80-something years old, mm-hmm. Amy. And she's lifting things, and she's doing this, and she's doing that. Her husband's got to be in his 80s, too.
Oh, yeah.
And he's walking around, and he's doing this, and he's doing that. And the son's working there, and he's doing this, and he's doing that.
Yeah.
And, and that's the whole thing. There's another condition. It's called hormesis. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yes.
So if you're exposed to things, mm-hmm. because our number one rule, Amy, as a smart monkey, is not to die. Yeah. So what happens, anytime we give a stress to our body, as long as it's not too much chronically,
correct.
Your body will get stronger. That's why lifting weights makes you stronger, because your
Yes.
body says, I got to get stronger, because next time this idiot tries to lift them, I got to get stronger. Or, if you're running away or whatever, back in, remember the old slave ship days, when they were rowing? And I think it was Spartacus. Remember that movie Spartacus?
Yeah.
So what happened, he started off with this skinny little nothing, and they put him on the boat. And guess what?
Well, yes.
You row every day,
mm-hmm.
and your body says, I got to get stronger for the next day, and the stronger. So you're exposed to the cold, you're
mm-hmm.
lifting heavy rocks, you're doing this, you're walking, you're in nature.
Absolutely.
And all that other stuff. So that's the reason why. And she, she's out doing all this stuff, and she's 80
mm-hmm.
something. And I think more importantly, she loves what she does.
She loves what she does. She's got a purpose. She's got a routine. She's got, this beautiful lifestyle that, like you said, it's everything. She loves what she does, and so it drives her, and that's going to carry you far as well.
And she wants to impact the world. I like the expression, I want to leave the world a little better place than when I came in.
Yeah.
What can you do? The other thing is, let me know your thoughts on this, Amy. I think a retirement is the worst thing you could possibly do.
If you're not careful, I see a lot of people who, they just retired and then bad things happen. And that's not to scare anyone, but it's everyone talks about all the other life stages. Everyone talks about, going into high school, going into college, your first job, parenthood, if that's what you wish. But no one really talks about retirement. They just say, oh, good job, congrats, go off. But if you're not intentional about how you want to spend your time, how you want to live your life, who you want to spend it with, you lose your sense of self a little bit sometimes along the way. You lose your routine, certainly, and you lose a lot of your social network, because a lot of people are friends with their coworkers, and they have that built in, and they sort of take it for granted a little bit. Like, who doesn't? That kind of disappears a little bit, and then you're kind of left to rebuild yourself, and people get a little wayward sometimes, and it causes a lot of negative ripple effects if you're not really intentional about how you want to spend this stage of your life.
I think one of the big things is purpose.
Yeah.
Everybody, whether you're young, whether you're old, you need a purpose in life.
Purpose.
A purpose. You think really helping humanity, not just making another $1 million.
Yeah.
I've got a cousin who worked for the DA's office. He's a lawyer, and he left. He's no longer working for them, and he volunteered for Wheels on Meals. He did that.
Yeah.
I think he does we took a look in terms of like a new, a baby, a newborn. What happens? Sometimes the mother can't hold him, so he'll hold the baby. Because that skin contact is really important.
It is.
He volunteered for all this stuff. He does all this stuff.
Right.
And I'm sure he's financially secure, but it gives him a purpose. So I think that's the other thing. So if you're going to retire, find something that you love to do. Good example, we got Art here. Art, he retired from the car business, and he's basically, but he's doing this. He's providing a service.
Yes.
He's doing this. He's doing that, and because otherwise you're going to be bored out of your mind sitting there drinking margaritas for the.
Yep. It's a slippery slope at that point. If you're just going to be bored out of your mind, sitting in your house. Your mind starts to wander to negative things sometimes, or it's just not stimulated. Your mind is like a muscle too. You've got to flex it. You got to use it. You got to build those neurons. I don't know where that's saying you can't teach a dog or can't teach an old dog new tricks. That's not true. That's not true, literally or figuratively. Yeah. So it's you got to find, like you said, your reason, your why, your motivation, your purpose, and people who. Research backs us up in that. We're not just saying this. Research backs us up where if you find a purpose or volunteer with a purpose, with passion, or mentor with passion, it's going to increase the quality of your life longer, just as much, if not more, than other things that you're doing as well.
Well, I think, again, going to back to the whole thing with socialization, they found that they find out being isolated is like smoking 3 packs of cigarettes. There was some crazy number. It was really, really bad. But that goes back to one of my semi-hobbies is evolution and biology.
Yeah.
How do we get this way? And we share 99% of our DNA with the chimpanzee.
Oh, yeah.
So what happens? So I got a question for you. You ready?
Okay.
So let's say, let's have you identify as a chimpanzee right now, okay? Identify as a chimpanzee.
I'm a chimp. I'm a chimp.
Okay, I'm a leopard. I'm a big leopard.
All righty.
What chances do you have against me?
Oh, probably small.
Yeah.
Real small.
Slim to none.
Slim to none.
You're running away.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
happens? Going up the tree.
However, you're the chimpanzees, and what are chimpanzees? They go in groups, right?
Oh, yeah.
8 to 20.
Yeah.
You ever see the canines in a chimpanzee?
Oh, yeah.
Now I'm Mr. Leopard, and you bring your friends in. What happens now?
Oh, boy.
I'm gone, right?
Yeah.
I got no chance.
Right.
So again, and I looked at, and going back into Neanderthal times, we existed in tribes of between 10 and 15 people. Mm-hmm. We were like that. We weren't big. 10 or 15 people.
Small community.
But we were safe because we have saber-toothed tigers running around. Mm-hmm. We have all kinds of animals running around. Mm-hmm. But we got spears. But we got a whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
So again, that goes back. We've only lived like this for the last 100 years or so.
Yeah.
I mean, really, we've always existed in groups before this. Do you know what I mean?
Small groups, yes.
So that's why subconsciously, when we're isolated, we don't feel safe.
No.
We don't feel safe because, again, the other thing you're talking about, just interacting, just you and I interacting right now, we're going to fire all these freaking neurons back and forth. What are we going to talk about next? Our brain's got to be going as opposed to watching TV and just mindless entertainment.
Very passive, yeah.
So by that interaction, so I bet you that's another thing you do with your clients is say, look at, you get mom and dad, you get them out, get them to a social group or have something happen, something happen with this or that. The other one, have you heard about this? They're coming out with. In fact, I had a board-certified gerontologist on the show a while ago, and she made this AI app that actually talks to the elderly person and gets to know them. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you know this. They have AI girlfriends and AI boyfriends now. Did you know that?
Yes, I did know that. I did know that.
But it's becoming really, really. What they found interesting, going back to evolutionary biology. So what happens is, the man wants the pretty girl to talk to. Nobody won't talk to him, so he has to pay to have the pretty girl. But the girls, what they want is somebody to listen to them. They want the guy to listen to them and to conversate. It works differently. So this AI that she developed, basically what it does is it will talk to them, it'll keep track of them. So it causes the interaction. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know if that's as good as the one-on-one. There's no studies on this, but I'm thinking if you can get your parents to basically interact with other people, have groups and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I like what you're, what we're kind of talking about is for whatever reason they can't go out physically or they can't, for a lot of reasons, it's hard to get together physically. But even just community isn't always, as what I think we're saying is not in person and close knit. It can be a phone call. It can be online, like a community of like-minded people throughout the world. It could be, video chatting a family member that you haven't seen that's not close to you. It could be so many things that
now with Zoom, you
yeah.
can probably get some kind of a Facebook group or something.
Absolutely.
Have a whole bunch of people on Zoom and go back and forth.
Yeah.
And the other thing I'm thinking, when going on there, and it took me a while to get used to Zoom because I had to show different things and stuff like that, but I had to use my brain. I had to figure out how to do it.
Learn something.
And the elder person is the same thing. They're going to have to say, well, now I can do this, and then they can go on eventually on their own, give them a bit of tech support.
Yeah.
And now with AI, ChatGPT and stuff, you can type in what's this, what's that, so they can in a way interact. In a way, they're going to have a virtual friend, right?
Yeah, it's the conversation back and forth, and it's learning. I ask AI questions and learn and such, and of course you got to fact check what you're getting. But you're using your brain. You're stimulating. You're asking a question. You're getting a response back. It's communication of a form. So if you're limited in any way, a lot of people think, well, that's it. Well, it's not it. We have options. We got things that we can do.
The other thing, I think it's important, maybe overlooked a lot, is touch. Touch. Because my wife ran across this, and they said basically, by touching somebody, you release oxytocin, the feel good hormone, and they found out even what they found out. So my wife says you should hug for 20 seconds. So before we go to bed each night, we have a thing. I hug my son for 20 seconds.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. And what happens is you release all this oxytocin to feel good. And the other thing is, again, as you get older, people, they want to feel good. So I think the other thing, I'm sure you tell your clients, make sure you do a lot of touch. Touch is important in terms of that. To get that, again, it's also about getting the hormones feeling correctly.
Yeah, and if it kind of goes back to, like you said, way back when, where we use our sense of touch and all of our senses, sight and whatnot, in a protective way too, because our bodies are constantly getting information, and in the background constantly like filtering and processing that information, good, bad, feel good, feel bad. It's all to protect us, and and part of that is community, and part of that is, when I am close and bonded to somebody and I have touch with them, we increase the bond, we increase the strength of the community. And then it's, mental health, mental wellness, cognition, wonderful ramifications from there. So if you're not, because some people are averse to touch, if you're not, that really can amplify. And that's why, a lot of reasons why we shake hands, but part of the reason is, touch, hello, greet. We're starting a bond of some sort. We're starting a communication and relationship of some sort. Like you said, a hug and anything like that is, if you're close to someone, it increases the bond and the oxytocin.
Yeah. So again, what Amy can do, again, she can either help you to deal with an elderly relative, or deal with the elderly. But if somebody that's dealing with high performers is, again, just keeping the cognition going, and maybe the big thing now is the reversing aging. There's all kinds of ways. There was a Nobel Prize, the Yamanaka genes. This guy, Dr. Yamanaka, has an F. They found that there's 4 sets of genes, and they found out they did it in animals. And what it does is it goes in and repairs all the genes and puts them back to earlier stages. They had not done it on humans yet, but they're coming out with all of these different things in terms of healthy aging, and even reversing ages, and different things you need to take, because again, as you get older, your body starts breaking down. You need more of this, you need more of that, you need maybe more vitamin D, you maybe need this, all kinds of stuff. But unless you have somebody like Amy that basically can walk you through this, you're just going there blind.
It's a lot to decipher. In general, and then when it comes to yourself, there's a lot of factors involved. It's hard to, I really like the saying, you can't read the label of the jar from inside the jar. So it's really nice to have somebody to take a look at you and the big picture really get to know you and your lifestyle, and your wants and your likes and dislikes, and really help you step by step. And that's what I try to do with my clients is like, I read the label of the jar from the outside. It's really hard for them too. We just break it into small, actionable pieces, small but mighty, approachable, and we kind of take away, we decipher through some of the mess, and we take away the overwhelming piece of it into something that doesn't feel like a chore anymore.
And just so the viewers know, and Amy, you can work with anybody anywhere in the world, right? Because you could do Zoom, so it's not you don't have to meet in person.
Correct.
So you'd have access to Amy really anywhere. Can you give us maybe an example of a client you worked with recently, and maybe give the viewers an idea of how you'd work with a client?
Yeah, absolutely. I had a client not too long ago who, she was diagnosed with prediabetes, had a family history as well, was concerned, had seen the ramifications, and didn't want that for herself. Wanted to work on improving her activity and her exercise, but she had never grown up exercising. She doesn't even like the word exercise. Working out, that wasn't part of her lifestyle, and now she's feeling that would probably be the most impactful, because her diet was actually not bad, and we could work on her stress, but she really wanted to focus on movement, but it was foreign to her. And at that point of her life, at her age, she didn't want to try to navigate a gym. That can be very intimidating for a lot of people who have never grown up with that. So we found something that worked. It took a while, because we had to break through some other barriers and some other limitations, and we, because it's not easy. It's not easy for people. If it was easy, everyone would do it. So we found a system that worked for her, very approachable, something she could stick with, felt good about, didn't feel like, workout. And she stuck with it. And then she graduated from working with me. And then a few months later, she messaged me again and said, Amy, guess what? I tried a hot yoga class. And I said, well, did you like it? And she was like, no, I hated it. But she was proud of herself. She wanted to tell me, because she would have never tried that before. And she found the knowledge and the confidence and the wherewithal to have dabbled in it. And it just keeps building for her now, which is wonderful.
Right. It's interesting, because there's actually a gene for people that don't like to go to the gym.
There's a gene for it?
There's a gene.
Oh.
There's something called the warrior gene. I have the warrior gene. I love going to the gym.
You love going to the gym? Yeah, you do.
My wife hates going to the gym.
Okay.
So now she has an excuse. She says,
I got the gene.
Sorry.
Sorry. It's genetic.
Not my fault.
That's funny.
But the other thing I do sometimes at a lot of the seminars is what I'll do is we'll walk over there, and the importance of being healthy. And I go up to people and I'd say, Amy, if I could wave a magic wand over you and make all of your illnesses go away, how much would you pay me?
Oh, so much money.
Yeah. The other one is this. Let's just say Warren Buffett's actually in pretty good health. Let's say he was not in good health. Let's say he was awful, but he's got $1 zillion. Okay, Amy, I'll tell you what. Warren Buffett just made an offer. He wants to change with you. He wants your health, your youth, and he'll give you his trillions of dollars. You can beat Warren Buffett.
Oh, boy.
No, nobody's going to do that.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, and the mafia has a saying is basically your health is everything.
Yeah.
It makes no difference how much money you make, how much fame you have. I see these things on YouTube, when I go on the computer sometime all the time. There's what was her name? She was anyway. I'll think of it in a second. Anyway, she real pretty girl. I mean, now she, all these diseases, and she's like, gone out. I mean, so she had that, I mean, she had all the youth and the beauty and everything else, but now it's gone. I mean, so the whole point is, your health is the most important thing. So why, people have cars, they pay money to get the car tuned up. They pay money to get this fixed.
Yes.
You got to spend a little money on yourself and go to. I'm not going to go try to fix my car myself, Amy. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great example.
Or if I wanted to, learn how to. One time I was thinking about taking up golf, and I was going to sign up for golf lessons and basically do that, because it's going to take me. I'm going to learn the wrong way. I'm going to do everything wrong. So So again, your health is the most important thing, and like we talked before, don't wait until you're sick.
Right.
Do it before you get sick.
Right.
A lot of people don't know this, but what happens is they always do your fasting glucose and your hemoglobin A1C. but they never check your fasting insulin. And 10 to 20 years before you come down with type 2 diabetes, your insulin's up here screaming at you, but your blood sugar's normal. These are all tests that we talked about that. These are tests you should have done.
Yeah.
But again, you need to go with an expert that knows how to navigate you through this thing. So don't wait. Oh, but now I got severe type 2 diabetes. Now I got kidney disease. Now I got this. Now I got that. Do it ahead of time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, and it's like we talked about with cognition too. There's so many things, like our body is just working so hard for us. Our body and our brain are working so hard for us. And at a certain point, then we see the symptoms because they just can't anymore. And so it's exactly what you're saying is the insulin is screaming, and we're not listening. And so we have to, it's helpful to have somebody to just give a little nudge, like you said, just like guide you, shine a light on some things that you might not have seen, because it's hard. You can't see the forest through the trees, you know. It's nice to have a professional, objective lens, trained to spend the time with you, spend the time to, everything's so fast paced now. We don't have the time, we don't make the time. It's nice to be able to do that for my clients. And like you said, you know, our health is our number one priority. Our mind is the CEO of our life. So if we lose that, it's hard to have quality after that. So why wait? Time is a non-renewable resource. You can't make it back. So get on that.
But the other problem now is in allopathic Western medicine is it's diagnose and adios. Get you in, get you out. I love doctors. I've had doctors on my show and everything else.
Yeah.
But they're under the gun.
They're under the gun.
They have somebody overlooking that, and they have a standard of care. So Amy, you come in and your cholesterol is this. Here's the statin. This has happened. Your blood pressure's through the roof.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know, but a lot of disease is what they call idiopathic,
Yeah.
which means we don't know.
We don't know.
You got a disease. We don't know, but we got a pill for the disease. So it wouldn't be like if you came in and I was a physician. You came in, my blood pressure's high, my this, and this. I'm gonna look. Okay, here's a blood pressure med. Here's this. Come back in 3 months or 6 months. I'm not like, Amy, how are things? Is work stressed out for you?
Right.
Is this? Are you exercising?
Yeah.
Amy,
How's your sleep?
What are you eating? Are you sleeping?
Yeah.
I don't have time for this. I don't have time for this. So one of the things, I like to call us root cause practitioners. We're medical detectives. Let's find out what the problem is. Let's find out what the problem is, and let's go to the root cause of the problem. Let's not just throw a Band-Aid on it. You know what I mean? Or things like that. I like this joke. So what happens is they're getting so busy now. So let's just say that you're walking along, Amy. You don't realize it, and you step on a tack.
Yeah.
You didn't realize it hurts, but you didn't think about whatever. And then you go in there, you go to see the doctor, and you say, "Geez, doc, I got this. My pain hurts. Here's two aspirins. Call me in the morning." You never looked at the foot, because I don't have time. I don't have time to see what's causing the problem. And that's kind of what you do. Is
Yeah.
you're looking at what's causing the problem.
Absolutely, yeah, and like you said, they're under the gun. I work with a lot of doctors, and they don't like it either. They didn't go into medicine to be under the gun.
A lot of them are leaving now.
Yeah, they're frustrated too. They want to care for their patients, and that they just so pressured, and there's no time. And so I love partnering with them. I love collaborating, because it's like, hey, they want to recommend, but they don't have the time. And so it's nice to say, but I got the time. So you give them guidance, you give them what you think, and then I'll work with them to do it step by step, to break it down, to say, okay, great, these are the guidelines. What can we do in your life and all the rest of the time that you're living your life and you're not seeing appointments and appointments and appointments? The client can be working on that, and they can be working with me step by step to do that, come back to the doctor, because like you said, they can give a medication because for safety reasons, maybe they need to drastically bring something down, but we also have to get to the root cause. So can we touch base in 3 months after working with me and see if maybe we can tackle it from both ends? So I love collaborating with them.
But the other thing is to think about, again, doctors being under the gun. One I like is Sean Baker. He was an orthopedic surgeon, and he was like the golden child of because he was doing all these surgeries. So with orthopedic surgery, and I know you know this, if you're too heavy, they don't want to do the surgery on you because the hip's not going to hold up. They want you to lose weight. So they come in to see Dr. Baker, and he's all over YouTube, and they say, okay, you know, I got a bad hip. Well, you got to lose 20 pounds. Come back in 3 months, lose 20 pounds. Patient comes back in 20, he says, well, how you doing? You know, I don't have any pain anymore. He lost the 20 pounds, and he saw this happen over and over again.
Yeah.
He went to administration, and he said, he says, why don't we just run these clinics on losing weight, and we don't have to do all these surgeries? You know what they said to him?
What did they say?
There's no money.
Oh,
you know,
come on.
so he quit. Like you said,
Yeah.
he quit. He quit. He says,
Yeah.
I'm going to start my own practice. I'm going to do my own thing. And again, God bless doctors, but again, there are people at the top telling them what to do, and they're looking over them. So it's not the doctor's fault. The doctor wants to do the best thing, but they're overwhelmed with all of these different things that they have to do.
Absolutely. So that's where you and I come in. That's where Kelly comes in. That's where all these coaches and all this support come in. Because I want to share with my clients, like, you have control of your life. You have the autonomy, and it's your life. So I'll help you, and we'll figure it out. And we'll take ownership, and there's so much that can be done. And it's not as overwhelming as people think, but it takes a lot of intention. It takes a little bit of finesse, and it takes a little bit of guidance to kind of take you every step of the way.
Other thing I found, by you helping one person, then they can help the husband or the wife.
Yes.
Then they can help the kids.
Yes.
So it goes basically become multi-generational, because then they're grandkids and this and this. Once you understand the correct way of doing things, and again, I'm not going to learn how to fix the car on my own. I'm not going to learn how to play golf on my own. I need a professional to basically to do that.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's like we said before, hard to read the label from inside the jar.
Okay, we're coming up towards the end of the show. So Amy, how would somebody reach you?
Well, they can find me through my website, wisefoxwellness.com. I'm also reachable via email, amy@wisefoxwellness.com. There's also, we're talking about cognition, I offer a free resource, a checklist that I created, so you can scan the QR code, and it'll pretty much give you a little printable PDF of little action-based things that you can think of to, fit into your day, sprinkle into your day, that'll protect your brain, and that will help, reduce your risk of any cognitive decline. And a little checklist that they can print out too. So like a little visual accountability, keep yourself honest, and you can kind of print that out. You can stick it on your fridge, and you could just do one thing that'll benefit you.
We talked about before.
Yeah, just one thing every day. And so then you can feel free to download. You can feel free to download that, and that it'll get in touch with me as well from there.
Or if you can email me, philgeorge@charter.net, and I'll shoot it over to Amy. So Amy, thanks so much for coming on. It was great. It was a great conversation.
This was great.
And guys, we'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in. One of the most common questions I'm asked as a biochemist and health coach is, what are the best supplements to take? Choosing supplements is a tricky business. Many companies have poor quality control and questionable ingredients. In the past, I had to send clients to several different websites. I am now able to offer one-stop shopping for all the quality brands I recommend, with no shipping cost and a lower price in most cases. Just email me, philgeorge@charter.net, for a free consult.